Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The Liberty come with receipts and the motivation as the Aces fold in the second half, and Queen Fee's dominance is not enough to go against the blazing hot Sun offense. All this and more on this semifinals game recap. Let's get into it. Hey, you. I'm a brand new channel and I'm trying to hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of October. Help me out with a like and subscribe. You might like what you see. And without further ado, let's get on with the episode. If you're a Liberty fan, you have to be happy right now with that performance. The Liberty closed out in dominating fashion. Sabrina taking care of business, got going early with the threes. 22 points tonight despite the tough defense that was going all game long. She found her spots, she hit her shots, 50% shooting from the floor and 62% from three. My oh my, players were just coming through. Stewie popped off, had 19 points, 14 rebounds. JJ had 60% shooting from three. I honestly don't remember when JJ missed a three. I felt like every time she got the ball in the perimeter somewhere and did that shot, it was going in. But we can't talk enough about the contributions of Leone Fibic. Such a difference maker. Plus 28 on the floor. JJ, partner in crime, plus 20 on the floor. When they are on the floor, Liberty were dominating the Aces, making their lives difficult, making mismatches, and making everything work. And they got into foul trouble early. There was a, the Liberty were battling the refs a bit tonight. There was fouls that were not called. There was a few inconsistencies with calls, but ultimately it's on the players. If you know that you're going to put yourself in jeopardy with a dumb foul, because some of those fouls were dumb fouls and they deserved them, then you gotta not make the foul. I get that you want to come out with the intensity, you want to like not limit yourself, but man, oh man, the moments when they had to sit on the bench, Jonquel Jones and Fibic, those were the moments where the Aces started to make a bit of a comeback, especially in the first half. Although really, the Liberty were ahead for most of this game. As soon as they got the lead, they kind of drove it all the way out. Great game for them. I think the only really negative takeaway that I saw in this game, them trying to feed the post. Whenever they were trying to feed the post, they were just rushing passes. A lot of rush passes leading to turnovers or missed possessions. And if they clean that up, they're really going to have to do it, because the interior defense of a team like the Lynx, let's say, is going to be very tough to deal with. And also, even if you get the Sun, which spoilers, it's going to go to a game 5, it's another tough defense that you have to deal with. More contendable and more mismatches, but if you go against a Lynx team, you got to clean up that stuff, because they're going to punish you for it every time. On the Aces side, again, I've talked about it. The stars didn't show up. It was another game where not everybody came out firing on all cylinders. There were players blipping out. Jackie Young shot 10% from the floor. Maybe it's the dead legs from everybody going all out to not get swept the previous night, and it's a quick turnaround, so I understand that, but man, that second half was absolutely brutal. Kelsey Plum in the second half only shot 22%, even though she started pretty good. And Asia is the powerhouse. She's doing her part. She's shooting 60+% from the floor. She's the entire reason why the Aces even have a defense. Like, her rim protection is everything. Just the threat of her, the intimidation, the consistency in which she can cleanly block a shot. There are times where I've wondered, like, hey, she doesn't get a lot of fouls called on her, but I actually think it's just because of any player that I've watched this year go to battle at the rim. She is consistently the best player. And I think watching it more, you have to have a second move. You can't just go straight up to the hoop, because if you do that, Asia's just so good at timing. She gets the hang time and she'll swat you every time. You have to have a second move to try to bait the swing and draw the foul or something, because it's such a low percentage shot when you go to the rim with her lurking there. Again, it could have been an exhaustion thing for the previous game, but it's just kind of indicative of the problems that the Aces have had all season. And I know that the Liberty had a lot of motivation. It's a team with a lot of motivation, and you can be out of your home court, but if your team isn't firing, then you're just doomed. And that second half was brutal. Their second half looked like the third quarter that the Liberty had the previous night when the Aces blew them out and pulled away. This game, just both quarters, they just increasingly, like, nothing was following in the fourth quarter. Asia Wilson in the second half was the only player that shot over 33%. Chelsea Gray, I think, was 33%. Everybody else was below 30, was like in the 20% at best, or they were just goose egging. And the only player that's making shots is Asia Wilson. So yeah, the team's probably gonna have to go reload, refigure out what they want to do. Becky Hammond alluded to as much in the post-game presser that the team's not gonna look the same next year, and she's sad about it, but every team's getting better. There's so much more parity this year. She recognizes it, and props to Liberty. They deserve this win. I'm excited to see them in the finals. They're a team that I really wanted to see there, and so I might buy a Leonie Phoebus jersey. I'm gonna buy some Liberty jersey for the finals. I'll figure out which one I want to order, but leave a comment down below if you have a suggestion for which one I should buy. This was a very interesting game for the Lynx and the Sun. Fee came out dominating. She dropped 29 points tonight, looked unstoppable in the first half. Although the foul bug kind of caught them early, Courtney Williams going to the bench, but Heidemann came in and popped off. She had a big run of points for them, and she hit a buzzer beater at the end of the half. And going into the second half, I was like, yeah, the Lynx they're on fire. They've made 9 threes, which is different than their strategy was the last game, where they were going more inside to try to beat the Sun and get those consistent points. And so I thought this game was a wrap. And then the second half starts, and Carlton's cold. I think she goes 0 for 6. She was 1 of 10 on the night, which is so out of left field for a 40+% shooter. And the turnovers were a big issue. And you can't do that against a really good defensive team, especially when you're going to start struggling on the 3-pointers. So I'm disappointed with the Lynx because they had a formula that worked. And for whatever reason, they went away from it. Maybe it's because they were hot on the 3 and Cheryl Reeves decided, you know what? They're going to overcompensate. They're going to try to account for the fact that we were, creating these lanes and driving on them consistently. But yeah, they just fell apart in the second half. And Fee got frustrated. She got into it maybe at one point, which we'll cover a little bit later. But dang, props to the Sun. And really props to Ty Harris, because Ty Harris got that injury in the Fever game, but came out and just absolutely delivered in this game, raining in threes, raining in bombs. And DeWanna Bonner, I don't give her enough credit for how good of a defender is. I think that AT gets a lot of attraction for the triple doubles and other things, and DeWanna Bonner sometimes can have a very just good night, but she is their shutdown defender. And it really, the way the Sun really started to make waves was AT was getting cooked by Fee. She was getting cooked the last game. She was getting cooked this game. She's frustrated. She's doing the arm flail, like exasperated, like I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And her boo, DeWanna Bonner, comes in, and DeWanna Bonner's just the length. She's just such a great defender, and she stifled Fee. Fee had 20 points in this game, but when they finally made that switch with DeWanna Bonner in it, like, they started to get some stops. And I think that was a very key point in this game for the Sun, which they will have to do. But mainly overall, it's the Sun were shooting over 50+% for the night. And they need to have these, again, offensive nights where they really pop off, because they can be a team that struggles from 3. They can be a team that, and the 3s kept them in the game to the point to the second half when they could pull that lead out. And so they need these big offensive nights, and props to them for shooting well tonight, picking good shots, hitting them, and they deserve it. They met the physicality. They came back out. They upped their energy. Lynx got frustrated, even with a lot of blocks that were coming in from Alana Smith and other players that were doing an amazing job rim protecting, but they just fought through it, sank their shots, and got to give the Sun their flowers for this one. We'll see if they have enough gas in the tank for game 5. It's going to go back to Minnesota, and I actually don't know what's going to happen this game. Again, my odds going into this were probably 60-40 in the Lynx favor, and after the previous games and how I saw the series was going, I was leaning more towards 70-30, maybe even creep into 80-20. But really, it all comes down to this one game and how you show up for that game. If the Sun show up and they have another great offensive night, I think they have what it takes. If the Lynx can find their groove back, be more consistent on offense, and just, again, match that intensity, they can take it. So excited for the game 5, but I have 2 crazy moments in this game that I saw and I clipped while I was watching the game that I just had to show you in case you missed them. But one of them is a cross-court pass that comes in, and DeWanna Bonner going to defend the perimeter. Literally her legs part right as the basketball comes and goes underneath her legs for the pass to complete. Like, I couldn't believe that pass went through her legs and actually made it. Now, they didn't get any points off of it, but I just saw it play. I was like, holy crap. And the other part was, I love Marina Mayberry. Like, I love her passion and her crazy moment on the court. But man, she had a moment with Fee where they get into a bit of a scuffle and Marina gets the foul for it, and she's walking away from the court and the camera just hits her face right on time, and she just lets out this like banshee's wail of like, and she just screams the B word. She just screeches it, and it like echoes across the court. And I'm just like, that is, man, I guess get it out of you. But like, you guys are winning. Like, this game is in the bag at that point. Like, this wasn't like this was a close game and that's a bad beat. It's like, nah, y'all are good. Keep it together, Marina. Keep it together. And that's gonna wrap up this week. I hope you enjoyed this game recap. I'll have one more for you for Game 5 of the Sun versus Lynx. Should be an exciting one. And I'm looking forward to covering the finals for the Liberty versus whoever wins that game. And I am going to try to live stream that. So anyone that wants to watch along with me as I'm doing clips and chat and talk about it as we watch, feel free to tune in. Would love to have you. And with that, remember, you're going to be amazing today because you are amazing. Catch you next episode.